DreamHack Open is brought to you by Intel, Corsair, MSI, and Monster Energy.
Welcome to the DreamHack Open November. Before that extended break, Spirit booked their place in the playoffs, and Apex will be seeing them play for their survival against AGF later on today. But right now we need to talk about Group B because it's going to be Gambit versus Nemiga coming up shortly. But before then, let's take a look at the bracket. In fact, I haven't introduced lovely Vu and Blair, but that's fine. We're saving the best till last because right now, taking a look at what's going to happen next. Nemiga versus Gambit, they'll also be playing for that semi-final spot, and the loser will go on to face Illumina, our Polish qualifying team. Vu, how'd you spend your time? Did you spend it wisely?
Yeah, I spent it very wisely. I had plenty of fluids, keep myself hydrated, edited a video, did some analysis, all that good stuff you usually do in a downtime. I've heard other people may have been napping, but that is unprofessional, and I would never do something like that.
Never. I don't think you even sleep. You took a nap, and you managed to wake up in time rather than 20 seconds before you needed to be live. I feel like we're on a journey, guys. We are learning. You guys, in terms of your sleeping patterns, me, I just went out and got glasses, so I look like I've got 3,000 IQ when I've actually only got minus 200. And I want us to put our brains together now, or at least I need you guys to, because we want to talk about the maps in this series. It is CIS Regional Derby. I'm trying to think what number would it be in terms of the hierarchy of Russian and Ukrainian like CIS Counter-Strike, because obviously Na'Vi, they're going to be number one. It's middle-ish, okay. Let's call it CIS Derby number 3. And I really don't know what to expect, but Tea Time did tell me that Gambit, they've got a solid map pool. Blair, is that something you're familiar with?
Oh yeah, Gambit's gonna ban Nuke, and after that they can do literally whatever the hell they want. The last time these two teams played, Gambit banned Nuke out as usual. Train was banned by Nemiga. We had Vertigo getting picked by Gambit, Inferno getting picked by Nemiga, and the decider was Overpass. It didn't go all the way to Overpass. It was a close game in Inferno, 16-14. The problem here for Nemiga, they have a stand-in playing. Lollipop is not going to be playing, which is a problem. They're the best. He's their best player. So their options are limited. They have Inferno, Overpass, 2 maps where they can potentially contest Gambit on. So I'm expecting an Inferno pick coming out from the side of Nemiga. Gambit, they can literally pick whatever they want. I'm maybe thinking, I don't know, a Vertigo, bro? Sorry, Vertigo got banned. A Dust 2 and Inferno. Okay, that doesn't make sense. I don't know why Gambit's picking Nemiga's best map, Vu. That's confusing for me.
Maybe they just want to practice it and show off. Maybe they're doing the Spirit thing. Is this just a CIS way, maybe, Vu?
I mean, the trouble for Nemiga is, 2 of their best maps are also 2 of Gambit's best maps. So Nemiga is just in such a rough spot here in terms of the veto. But I think this is really kind of best case scenario for them to some extent. Yeah. I mean, they didn't have to pick Inferno, so they're playing a map they otherwise probably would have wanted to pick. They don't have to play Vertigo that they got absolutely smacked on last time they played, and Dust 2 is a map that you're looking at with a stand-in. It's not necessarily their best map of all time, but with a stand-in, it's a little bit easier to make happen, right?
Well, let's take a look at the stats for Dust 2. Blair, you seem to already be at your wit's end. We haven't even gone through map 1 yet.
Yeah, I mean, look at that win rate. And that's with Gambit playing against some pretty decent opposition, mind you. If I'm Nemiga, I know you have a stand-in playing right now for Lollipop, but he's been standing in for a while right now, right? I think it is, if I'm not mistaken, it's Forrester's playing for the team. go with Overpass. It's a map you have a decent, better win rate on. I think it's 7-2, 7 wins and 2 losses in the past 3 months or so. It's a map where at least your protocol should be okay. Again, it's a map where Gambit's going to be very comfortable on either way. But Dust 2 is a map that Gambit have looked so very good on recently. And looking at the firepower they have, I feel like this could be a mistake from them. Maybe an Overpass pick coming in. So then you have Inferno and Overpass, your 2 best maps being the opening matchups. I think that would have been the ideal scenario for Nemiga.
Well, Privier to all the CIS community in chat, because we need to find out who you are voting for in this one. Hashtag GMB for Gambit, hashtag Nemiga if you're with our, I guess, our second CIS or even our third CIS seed. If you count Spirit, obviously they're in a different group, but still a CIS team. If you aren't Russian or from that area, then you can still vote too. It's just that, you know, I will not necessarily count your vote as highly as the others. I do have a breakdown of who's in chat and who's voting, and you're just going to have to take my word for it on that one. We're going to actually check in with the in-game leader from Gambit right now, Nefani. He's got a history, and now Hobbit's joined the team. Hobbit's not given up, like Hobbit's not taken the reins from him. Nefani is still in-game leading for Gambit, so we're going to hear from him now.
This is so well played. Shiro's making this 1v1 a masterclass of clutching.
Everything was expected versus Eliminar. We expect about our winning, so it's nothing for us special. Just another game.
Illumina, but Shiro and company are delivering for us time and time again. Even so, though, the Tech Knights have proved to be lethal, and Nafani is as well, gets 1, peeks out, makes it 2.
I believe game versus Nemiga will be 2-0 for us. We face versus them on previous tournament, so it was a bit close on Inferno, and usually they hard opponent for us. But now, when Hobbit come to us, we feel a bit more confident versus them. I guess at least one map will be close, like 16-13 or something like that, maybe with overtimes, but still I guess we will win it.
He sounds incredibly sure of himself. I didn't sound sure of myself going into that video, just because I am questioning that Hobbit isn't the in-game leader. But I had a little chat to him earlier this week, and he said Nefani was playing. But from also speaking to Tea Time, Hobbit seems to be contributing a lot in the late game calls, which is something I'm guessing you'd expect, Blair.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, major winner, right? But jokes aside, he has been looking pretty good for the team. I was surprised. I thought it was Hobbit calling for the lineup right now. But it's a team, yeah, they look pretty good. That previous matchup, though, against Nemiga, I think it was a 9-5 cup or something, was the final. It was one of the ugliest maps of Counter-Strike I saw, which was in Vertigo. And it felt like Nemiga they were just YOLOing it at times. So I don't want to read too much into that previous matchup. I want to see what they have in store for us here today. That being said, yeah, I still feel like Gambit, man for man, pound for pound, they are the better team. You have Axel, you have Shiro, one of my favorite oppos to watch from the CIS region personally. He kind of embodies my style of opping, where it's like being a little bit more passive, not overextending too much. It's not the flashy Z-Power style of opper rather, but he's a guy who's going to consistently get you those important, crucial duels, which can basically steal you rounds as well as halves.
Do you think that Shiro is occasionally a little bit inconsistent, Vu, or are you a massive fan?
You know, he's not my style of opping. My style of opping is missing every shot, but I think Shiro's pretty damn good. He's also got just ludicrously low deaths per round. It's something like 0.5, whereas if you look at Jame, for example, who's known as it's Jame time, it's time to run away and save the off, he's around 0.54 or something around there, and you don't really hear about Shiro being, you know, saving too often. He just kills everybody that enters his screen. You know, it's not baiting if you just kill everybody and your teammates can't. And if I was Gambit, I'd be pretty confident with over an 80% win rate on just about every map too.
I genuinely thought that Shiro was playing in an armchair then. Like, literally, it looked like he was sat in it. And he's not playing in a gaming chair either. He's on a little wooden chair. And I'm guessing the guys have just entered, in fact, I know this, the guys have just entered a boot camp. They've been there for, I believe, 6 days now. I'm doing the maths right, so they're going to be there for a couple of weeks. So they'll be here during DreamHack Masters winter as well. I think having the team having them around each other is definitely going to help them with this one. But we should probably talk about their opponents, Nemiga. And to kick things off, we spoke to Joe to find out how the team are feeling about their opponents and their most recent match.
Towards them, the smoke will give them some cover, but not for long. Jo drops down through the smoke, gets damage. Nade as well to follow, will not take anyone's life, but he's still so deadly, keeps it going, carrying them across. Jo!
First game against Kova. When we played Vertigo, one of our players didn't even play this map before, so it was standing, so it was hard to explain to him what we're trying to do, and overall it was hard to do something together, like we got countered a lot.
The bomb dropped right in front of the smoke, and as that clears, Fargo will have a great...
On Mirage it was easier because everyone felt like comfortable on that map, so we just communicate and shoot some headshots and win.
Pretty much as well as it could have it in terms of setup, but not really. And takes away Fargo, beautiful entry, and he's looking for more.
If we talk about Gambit, it's kind of tough opponent for us, especially with standing, so we just need to play better individually and just show our best. And I think that's the key of the win against them.
A key to the win, just play our best. If only it was that simple for us lot when we're playing matchmaking. All right, best player of Nemiga, Lollipop, is still out, but Speedek is returning today. Forrester, standing in for Lollipop yesterday, did put up a 1.37 rating on Mirage, but perhaps is a little bit reticent to go in and take fights sometimes. So without Lollipop's firepower, do you think this is realistic for Nemiga, Vu?
I don't really think so. You know, Nemiga is a team that's been a bit of a thorn for Gambit. They haven't really taken them down too often, but they've done very well making the games close. One of the few teams to do so since they've really, you know, they've been upgraded to the Gambit main roster. So I think they could bring it close, but unfortunately, I think you're right. You know, Forrester is great, but Lollipop is someone that really put his team on his back at times, and without him, I'm not sure how well they'll be able to do.
And Blair, I'm not wrong in saying that Nemiga, they're a bunch of really mechanically skilled players, but how do they come together as a unit?
Half the times they don't seem to come together as a unit. This is one round, which Tom was watching and he tweeted about it, where it's like they bought 3 ops on the CD side of Vertigo, and 2 of the AWPs went pushing mid, which... Listen, I like crazy rounds. I like watching Furious style of Counter-Strike at times, but that makes no sense whatsoever. But then, like Vu mentioned, like they seem to have this ability to make it close with some of the bigger names out there. And I guess that's something to do with it being a domestic matchup, kind of, right? These guys play each other a lot of times. So it could be some mind games coming in. So yeah, maybe there is an outside chance they could potentially take a map here.
Well, let's hear your predictions then. We'll kick off with you, Blair.
2-0 Gambit. I think Gambit are just looking fantastic right now. And Nemiga, like you said, they don't have Lollipop, so it has to be Gambit.
Vu?
You know, luckily they you don't actually record our map scores, so I'm just gonna say Gambit's gonna win. And I'll reserve the right to be 2-1, 2-0 either way.
Vu, love.
Wow.
You do realise this is actually being broadcast on Twitch, and Twitch clips do exist. So
clip it.
yeah, exactly. DreamHack open.
Listen, technically correct. Is better than...
Yeah. I can't wait till we have a compilation of you getting a load of wrong map predictions, and it's just going to be super cut with you attacking a spider. It's literally just going to be like, Vu gets it wrong. Anyway, you really need to be there, and you need to see that spider video for it to make sense. But hopefully my prediction is going to make sense. I'm saying Gambit. What is Twitch chat saying?
Has to be Gambit. Come on.
Has to be
Come
Gambit.
On,
oh,
I mean, last time they said Apex over Spirit, right?
Boom, there we
go.
Okay, all right.
They said Apex over Spirit because everyone stands Jacob. How can you not? We've got taste here. We know what we're doing. We love Jacob. We love to see him. But obviously, Gambit, 92% there. That, in a way, that actually surprises me. Even though I do think they're the clear favourite in this matchup, I would have thought there'd be a few more Nemiga fans. I don't know. I don't know. Again, just like Jacob, you got to love Hobbit. Yeah. I actually am quite out of breath after trying to fight an imaginary spider in tribute to Vu. And I know that most people in chat probably don't know the reference that I'm referring to. So please Google Vu killing a spider, because otherwise my career is over. Anyway, two people whose careers are definitely not over, and we're very privileged to have them, are Vince and Tombiz, and they'll be with us after this break as we get into our Group B winners match. It's gonna be Gambit versus Nemiga.
Second best of 3 coming right at you guys, and it could be the pick of the day. I think on paper, notwithstanding the replacement and Lollipop not playing as they touched on the desk, I think this actually is a game stylistically that is often very interesting indeed, Tom, and I know that you've casted and seen these two teams play a bunch, so do you have any overarching sort of thoughts or feelings coming into this game?
Ultimately, I sort of echo what the desk has been saying. Like, I think it should be Gambit taking the victory. I do kind of understand like Vu's point of view of like taking a step back when it comes to the scorelines and like the amount of maps, because it's very dependent on Nemiga. Like, I think Gambit are going to play a good style of Counter-Strike. They've got a crazy amount of talent in their roster at this point. It genuinely is surprising to me that they've managed to get away with as much as they have, locked these guys into a long contract as well to build for the future, which is something I love, but also means that like if other teams come a knocking, they ain't getting anywhere near the 2 stars of this side. The real question though is Nemiga, because this team has a hell of a lot of firepower, plays very aggressively, and catches a lot of teams off guard, even when they've played them many times before. Even to the extent that when it went back to the, I think it was the second RMR event, they almost managed to beat Na'Vi. The problem is with Lollipop missing the star of the show, and sure, we do have Forrester, who is a fantastic player individually. It makes this team even more disjointed than they were before. The question is, will somehow that work in their favor like it has done in the past?
Yeah, it could be the Hail Mary player unleashed mentality that we've already seen a few times over the duration of this very tournament. In terms of maps, obviously Dust 2 up first. This was the pick of Nemiga. Next up is Inferno as MDS puts his USP to use, but only gets the 1. Inters instantly rattles the Saber and puts him down. 4-on-4 as Catwalk control is forthcoming, but Speedak back into the lineup again after yesterday's absence, making that presence felt. Locking it down. Axel, though, with 2 of his own. One of the key members to look out for Gambit, joined by Nafani, who is looking to go for the cross on long. Post plant comes into play. Utility is scarce. The kit has been picked up, but now Jo is coming up close. Needs his teammate, the Forrester, to do something special, or perhaps not. Maybe he can do it all alone. Axel, who's already got 2, is going to get a 3rd and is looking for the quad and connects. Headshot from the USP. Pixel perfect, and Gambit claim first blood.
We're already getting a show. Like that's the thing I love about this Gambit side. I almost said Gambit youngsters. I forgot that they finally stopped calling them that, which I think it was a long time coming. Bear in mind that Axel is still only 18 years of age, and that's always the thing that actually surprises me is I always think of Shiro as the youngest, just because of like how they've sort of set this team up. He was obviously the newer one to join. Axel even had a time where he played, I guess, with the big boys, you would have called it, as when he was like 16 years old, still coming into the original Gambit roster. But no, he's actually still only 18 years of age, coming up as a real star player. This roster has given him a chance to really thrive, and him and Shiro are genuinely 2 of the best players in the CIS, and will be the stars of the future. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you go in like a few years time, if they're both in the top 20 in the world. Like, they have so much individual skill, and it's just whether or not the roster sort of works around them. I was sort of questioning the addition of Hobbit originally because we hadn't seen much of him, but it seems like he's actually added a bit of a backbone to this team, and yeah, they've been terrifying ever since. This round, though, Speedak has started things off, and I bet they're happy to have him back today because he is a maestro with the AWP and, well, I guess also with the Scout.
Well, he can certainly get it done. Gambit, though, another post plant. This is where the two Scouts may very well struggle to get up close, especially as Axel's watching it, but he's got multiple angles to contend with him. A little bit surprised that he wide swung that when they're a player behind already. And no one really there to back him up. Hobbit's next to fall. Mac 10 can't do too much against the AK-47 that's now used against them. Nafani holds on with the Galil. Maybe there's still an avenue forward. Nafani continues to rip and tear through the oncoming CTs. It's an exquisite 2v4 hold. And that peek from Exile nearly stung, but Nemiga can't quite get across the finish line.
Yeah, unfortunate for them. It's one of those maps especially where getting off to a strong start really can be the be-all and end-all. There's a lot of momentum when it comes to Dust 2. You talk about spawns on this map probably more than any other. The ability to pretty much decide your fate just by where the game puts you randomly. So I have to watch out to see like if they are feeling confident enough to go for those aggressive peaks. For now, they're actually just gathering up outside the B site. Not normally the most common thing to do it in an Antico round, mainly because if there's a stack in that direction, things can go a little bit wrong. And interestingly, the stack's actually into mid. Flashbang is almost spot on, as it will be an opener for JO and a free AK-47, which they may just scurry away and save. I don't think there's much of a reason to try and do anything with it in a retake.
Agreed. I think that should be the port of call, but they're also keeping themselves in close enough proximity that maybe they could do something. If you start to see these very low-tier pistols, the P250, USP, maybe rattle a couple of headshots, then maybe they'll get interested. But it seems like Geo has already assumed, like, look, it's Gambit. They're not really going to let this one slip. Respect being shown. Exile may miss the scout shot and get punished for it, but let's be honest, losing a scout and taking the round's not the end of the world for Gambit. And they will be taking the 3-0. That much is guaranteed. Grenade just shreds through Forrester. Shrapnel all over him. Speedak, no real reason to save the P250, so he wants to see if he can maybe take an extra rifle away. Won't be forthcoming. It does seem like Geo will hold on. The Estonian will take the AK into the next round, and they can buy behind it. Will include an AWP.
Yeah, he's been someone who does like to get a secondary AWP in every once in a while and is fairly proficient with it as well. So we're not going to see it just yet. Obviously, if you're given a free AK, you take a free AK. But I do wonder if maybe they need a change of style later in the map if he will be pulling out that secondary AWP. For now, though, what is normally considered more of a bonus round really isn't one from the side of Gambit. They've got full rifles across the board, and Nafani's already going to start things off with a pretty simplistic opening pick. I do wonder, because of the stand-in situation, because of the fact that, well, Speedak wasn't even playing yesterday, whether or not we might have a few players trying to almost carry them through rounds. Like Speedak's aggression there, no support, nothing else, something we see quite regularly from this team. Somehow, though, the rest have managed to actually start to pick up the pieces after they lose that initial frag. The thing that worries me a little bit is their current positioning. Are they going for a retake of short before the bombs even got anywhere near A? This could actually work for them.
Yeah, the timing definitely could. It's down to Shiro, and he's got the AWP. If he can just take the shot, connect and back away, it could be good enough. A smoke's also been deployed. That's pretty significant. That really does hurt Nemiga's opportunities of pushing through. They have no idea how many players are up close. You can't really just run through the smoke and hope for the best. Off angle from Exile proves too hot for Box to contend with. And with his death, the round surely follows. I don't think Nemiga want to throw away these two assault rifles, one of which has now been upgraded to the AWP, so even more reason to go save. But I suppose many people expecting Gambit to walk through this best of three, not without trials and tribulations, and their pre-game interview did suggest that even though they backed themselves to take the 2-0, they thought one of the maps would get close, like a 16-13. But so far, it's been flawless. It's been pretty comfortable in the end.
Yeah, that's sort of been the way that their matches have gone. The Gambit normally get a clean victory, and then One of the maps is normally a little bit closer, but they do normally take this in a 2-0 fashion. Just for the record, I think the veto that we had initially was actually backwards. So I think this is actually the pick of Gambit, which does make a lot more sense considering the current percentage win rate that Nemiga has is not exactly great. And Inferno is a map that I actually really enjoy watching them play on. Slightly mental, as always, but that comes with the CIS and Nemiga in general. But it makes a little bit more sense than Nemiga picking a map that they have got a pretty poor win rate on and really don't have any particularly good results on. Like losses to Saw, K23 in the mix. Like it's not a map I would be expecting them to pick against the team that beats them on it most times they play. So just wanted to put that out there. It was a little bit backwards when we saw it initially. And this is Gambit's choice of map.
There you have it. The correction has been made. Makes a bit more sense, all things considered. But now Nemiga have their 2 AWPs that you did touch on before, Tom. It is Dust 2 at the end of the day. Many teams go for this very setup. And Hobbit actually had the opportunity to go for a rifle, stuck with the MAC-10, and wants to get up close and personal with Nemiga, who did tons of damage to Axile in the process. Long control. Not without cost to HP, but no lives are lost in the process. The Gambit now taking some systematic control, but deciding to just post up Axile, keep their opportunities available to them, and now pulling back towards the T-spawn. Interesting turn of events. Nemiga not getting aggressive and not really getting too much information for their troubles. They have no idea if they're getting pushed on long right now, so they're playing more passive on the site.
Wonder how long that will last. The one thing I've learned with this Nemiga side is they are unrelenting with their ability to, I guess I'll be nice and say be proactive. I think that's the best way you could put it. They like to challenge. They don't give any map control up for free. And you can see a few of the players starting to get almost itchy feet as they want to try and take a fight. Speedak peeking into mid. Cross-connected. He doesn't actually get the kill, but there's the reaction from Box. Bounces straight through short and manages to get a double opener for his side. Great work from him on the timing. And now, well, 25 seconds left. They have to go B.
Yeah, Forrest up. The man stepping in the shoes of Lollipop, and so far so good. Headshot delivered, forces back Gambit. Both of them were low. And I thought it was an interesting idea. You know, Gambit originally really did pressure that long control and then decided to just back away. Nemiga got some really good picks in middle, converted the damage into kills, and the rest is history. So Nemiga get their first round. At least Gambit hold on to 2 weapons, though, so they'll be able to bolster up that by no problems. But Box's control over Catwalk was huge. Those 2 kills pretty much summed up the round. It sealed it up nicely for Nemiga.
Yeah, it was well played. It's not something I'm sure will work too often. Like short aggression, especially on the CT side, is a fairly big risk. And going that far forward, we'll have to see if they can pull that off more than once. Nice nade onto Jo, though. Playing a sort of rotational AWP. Forrest is actually someone who I would quite like to see enter this roster. I think he was one of the bright sparks when it came to Hard Legion, excluding their coach. And yeah, in reality, I think he'd make a good addition. Probably not in exchange for Lollipop, though.
Oh, you want to keep Lollipop? Yeah, absolutely. He has to be priority number 1. Trades back and forth, 3-on-3. 2 more players go down in middle, but Gambit more interested over on the B side of the map. Axile taking off the head of Speedak is only going to force more CTs across here. But Gambit don't fully push on this B hit. They have supreme confidence in Axile's ability. As you'd expect, he is an absolute monster as of late. And Shiro's patience watching straight down middle from T-spawn pays off. And the victory from Nemiga is short-lived. Right back onto the back foot again.
Yeah, we get back to what I consider to be probably more of the norm when it comes to Dust 2. I think the interesting, obviously, MDS is normally more of a sort of supported player a lot of the time, but if you replaced MDS with Forrester, brought Lollipop back into the roster, I think in terms of raw firepower, this roster is actually pretty scary. I guess the other one you could maybe question is Jo, if it is Box on the in-game leader role. Sometimes it's quite hard to tell with these teams, obviously not speaking the same language, but maybe we can ask someone in the post-match who is going to be the one in-game leading, although I'm not sure we'll have a post-match with Nemiga, so might be a little bit tougher. Haven't got off to the best of starts, but have enough money to still buy into this round. Utility's actually not too bad either, although the kit only being on the AWPer and with how proactive a lot of the time we see SpeedAC being, I don't know how viable that kit's going to be coming into the post plant.
SpeedAC subsided by so many flashbangs. And now that he's been forced away, they can get their eyes onto the site. The bomb is actually one of the last players in. Will take a few more seconds, but with no catwalk control on the CTs, and Axile watching from the off angle, using the barrels as a bit of sanctuary. He now pounces into action, nearly getting 2, but information attained, allowing Shiro to play up closer with the AWP. A great Molotov actually forces him away, but there's 2 players now there. And Nemiga can't force the hand, or maybe they will. It's just blunt force, but Hobbit holds on with the AK. And in doing so, the round is put in the bag. It will be a 6-1. And Gambit going from strength to strength. It just feels like, to me, Tom, that Nemiga are being slowly constricted out of this map. Don't really feel like they have any control whatsoever.
Yeah, obviously this map comes down a lot to duels, like probably more than any other. I guess you could put Mirage into that mix as well. But the thing that Gambit seem to do so well is, firstly, they're very good at winning those opening duels, but they also just have players left in place for certain situations. So they make sure they don't lose any short control after the afterplant. Obviously, they also have positioning from top mid, from Axile, and it just makes a very awkward situation when you're trying to retake that you've got all of these different angles left behind. I have a fair bit of faith in the coach of this team. That was Finn, who's been with the roster for quite a while. And yeah, I think he's definitely done a good job sort of getting this team through, getting them prepared. I'm sure Hobbit has also played a part, as mentioned, a previous major winner. And had some pretty impactful moments in that major victory as well, if I remember correctly. So definitely got a decent looking roster, the best looking roster I think we've seen from Gambit since that major winning team.
Oh, this is an awkward trade. They completely barrels out of control. Gambit lose 4 players. MDS with a 3K with the 5-7. I'm a bit speechless. Tom, out of nowhere, a really poor buy. Not only have they got this into a 1v5, they can trade up a ton of weapons unless Axile can pull off the 1v5. This is damage limitation, 2 kills, nearly a third. Is going to hurt Nemiga's economy a little bit, but all things considered, that is a great outcome.
Yeah, it's something sort of mentioned is I don't know how often this sort of short aggression is going to work for them, but the 2 rounds they've won have both been off the same aspect. Of course, one thing I want to actually correct myself on, I think due to the sort of whole coaching situation, Finn has actually left the organization, or at least not part of it at the moment, and it has been replaced by Groove, who I don't know a massive amount about, but has been seemingly around for a long time. Previously part of Gambit Youngsters as well, and also involved with like Moscow 5 dating back, old K23, even the very old sort of like VP roster back in like 2009. So definitely capable hands, I guess you could say.
Can they keep their success rolling forward? A lot of long control this time. Nemiga 3 players in. Early incendiary has been extinguished. Nafani pushes through at the cost of 40 HP, just doing his due diligence to make sure that no one is down in the ramp. Now realizing that's the case, but they're all clumped together. And with so many teams opting for fast wraparounds through middle, they'll feel compelled to go for this SpeedAC, spotting multiple players, knowing there's a high likelihood he's about to get pushed with Molotovs and flashes. He dips out of car, takes a more passive angle. Gambit still push forward. They've put all of their savings into this round. Only 1 smoke left. You'd like to have 2 smokes across, and SpeedAC playing a different angle, even though the flash detonates in his eyes, still pushes in with the trigger, makes it work. Both AWPs singing out for frags. And it seems like Nemiga making the most of those missteps on Catwalk. Hobbit, though, somehow perching onto the side, catching MDS off guard. Box on Goose now making moves in, head completely removed at the cost of 81 HP, but now Hobbit's been finished off from the grenade, and Gambit still with a lot of time left, all things considered, but no control over the bomb, so they have to go for this. Maybe thinking of the run boost. Shiro, how's your luck? Well, they've messed it up. They fluffed their lines, go back in for another one. Shiro hops across, misses the shot, and gets punished alongside Inters. Nemiga do convert again.
Yeah, this double op setup actually being fairly terrifying. Speedak and Jo both, well, I guess a combined ace between them, and 6-3 in their favor. It's actually now going to have to be more of an eco round coming up for the side of Gambit. So, yeah, not an awful situation at the moment for Nemiga. And as said, like, well, we sort of look at this match on paper, you look at the maps that are coming up, and you would pretty much go, oh, well, Gambit, they've been on the rise, they've been a team moving forward. Nemiga have stagnated a little bit when it came down to, as I said, back to WePlay, where they, I think they finished in 4th. I had a pretty good running there. So you kind of sit there and go, oh, they've also got their best player missing. But that seems to be the weird thing about this roster, about what we saw from like Hard Legion in the past. It seems like with CIS teams, you stick a stand-in player into the mix, and a lot of the time they're still going to thrive. And I think that's mainly because we see, maybe excluding a couple of teams, like I think Fours are very well structured and actually have a hell of a lot of calls that come out from Jerry, like with set pieces when it comes to the defensive side. But remove them from the mix, a lot of the teams play a lot more loose. Like you'll have players going for individual plays. Think of Chopper, for example, being very aggressive in the way he plays the CT side of Dust 2. And Nemiga fit within that bracket. They've also seemingly done something that you don't normally do with a stand-in, which is they've just given Forrester the position he actually likes to play on this map, which is the B side. So I like to see that. They're trying to integrate what is a fairly young star of the old Hard Legion roster and put him in positions he actually wants to play.
An excellent pick turns into 2. And won't be counteracted either. And with a second player at the back of the site in the form of Forrester, the T's again have to basically pull back. That being said, though, as they retract, their backs against the wall, turns out they're at their most deadly. They take down 2 players on the retreat and change up their angles over on A. This leaves Speedak alone, effectively holding A, while both Forrester and Gio make moves in. Misses his shot. That could be such an important moment. Indeed it is. It keeps Speedak in position, and now they pivot in, pounce in for the kills, leaving Gio 1v3. And Speedak will be wondering what could have happened had he have connected that first shot. Instead, Gio may have to just pull out of here. You can see the money for Nemiga is just fine. They've got a flurry of rounds to their name. Gio, big headshot onto Nafani, going to make this a punishing, costly round. And still has enough time to feasibly go for it. Doesn't have a kit, but one of his teammates on the side should have one. So Gambit should be very careful in this. Axel playing with his food, but enough time has elapsed that he's secured the round at least. But if you have a look over to the collective economy of Gambit, it's not ideal. They will be able to buy, but maybe losing all 5 players unless Shiro is careful as he just tap dances his way out of there. Gambit, though, do strike again and take the 3-round lead once more.
Yeah, Axar was playing out of his mind. Like, the form that this man is in is just off the charts. Like, no one's been able to really compete with him in the server as of recent. And well, Shiro, he's been a little bit quiet so far. Actually was in top mid when that 1v2 began. Yeah, that kind of says it all. And wow, Shiro's form is not going to get any better, it seems. Forrester wins that battle when it comes to be 4 and 8 for someone who's normally, wow, one of the 2 stars, I guess you could say. Speedak, though, that is utterly ridiculous. He's just taken the head straight off Nafani. Couple of decent plays coming out, and they're gaining in confidence at least. Axstar, though, it's almost like you're playing against a laser beam. Like, I don't know how he just manages to make that look so easy, but I can tell you right now, it's not.
Yeah, it has this like motion detector aim, just snaps onto the heads, and completely agree that Shiro is having a rough day of it right now. Missing some shots you'd expect him to land, and as much as he's been poor, Axile has been excellent. And at some stage, he is going to need the rest of the troops to help him out. Inters up close. dispatches Forrester with haste. Speedak getting in after a beautiful flick earlier onto Xbox. Now looking to play a little bit more aggressively. Misses that shot, but won't the second time of asking. And they filter in one by one. It goes to show just how confident Axile is, that even knowing that Speedak is up there, goes to face him. He tries to go across to the A side. He falls down. Geo now with the AWP in window. May have a free shot at Hobbit. They've definitely spotted one another, and Geo goes out for the repeat. Nemiga making sure they do not let Gambit get too much daylight between the two of them. And this is where that weakened economy that I highlighted earlier has caught up with Gambit. Nemiga should be closing the gap a little bit further.
This is going to sound a little bit toxic. How bad must that old Gambit have been to make both Axile and Mir look bad? Like, think about that. Like, both times when both of those players played in the roster, we were like, this is too early. They've not really come into play. And then Mir goes off to Spirit and looks incredible. And Axile, well, I would want to play against anyone else rather than him. Like, this has been ridiculous. He's just been doming anybody that comes into his path. So, yeah, I'm kind of glad that Gambit decided to stick with him rather than sticking with the old roster. Don't worry, I love Dosia to bits, but it's good now. We get him as a streamer, which, if anything, is just pure meme content.
The preference, Speedak can't quite flick across. It would have been lightning quick reaction speed had he have connected that one, though. And it is against pistols. A plant would be ideal. The round would be ludicrous. And Hobbit with the Deagles made it work. P250 from Shiro. His trusty sidearm comes good, but it's a Glock to fend off against two, and that always is going to be a very difficult ask. But a bomb plant and 3 kills, honestly, from Gambit, that is a fantastic outcome. But Nemiga now closing the gap to just 1.
Yeah, it's a decent round in isolation, but we have to bear in mind that this was a 6-1 lead for Gambit just, well, not too long ago. And Nemiga have made a very good resurgence into this map. I think we're always going to look at this and give favor over to the T side when it comes to CIS battles because of just the raw pace we see with these teams. And I think especially when you have a stand-in, a lot of the times your CT side will suffer because realistically in this case, Forrester's normally playing as an entry fragger. All he has to do is follow the orders of Box. So we could still see a pretty decent scoreline from them here. And while they said it themselves, that it would probably be relatively close, even if Gambit have been pretty much destroying everybody else in their path, especially throughout the tournament so far. Their first match was not even close. However, this round at least, fairly even spread. Damage! Speedak on 1 HP. The nade almost kills him off. He is surviving just about for now. But they look like they're about to challenge him on long.
He's already pretty much accepted his fate that he's a dead man. There's 2 Molotovs. If one of them's tossed on the car, he is a goner. But they're bypassing him without too many issues. And the rest of Nemiga are being put into place on the sideline. They'll have one more crack at it this half in the next round. And they'll have enough of an economy to get a decent-ish buy. MDS certainly behind the rest of the pack, and that may force Box into a save. I don't think he's going to get the opportunity, though, as all the T's push onto him, and that tsunami crashes against the rocks of Box. And now Gambit have one more round to maybe extend their lead a little bit further.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the way that they played that, especially after Speedak was incredibly low. Like, the reason Jo dies so fast in that take is because his AWP misses the shot, and then the next player just walks out, and he's just stood in the open. Like, there's absolutely nothing he can do. He was very, very reliant on Speedak getting a kill while on 1 HP, which, if that's your plan, I don't think it's a particularly good one. Nonetheless, as said, they brought this back to at least a reasonable scoreline no matter what. And we are going to see them invest into this round, of course, but it's not great. Few rifles across the board. You also have yourself a scout and, of course, a trusty deagle. Nonetheless, a lot of their rounds have sort of come off the back of a few aggressive pushes that have come in weaker moments. So, I don't know. I think that there's some possibilities here, but realistically, it should be down to Gambit.
maybe the reason for this aggression from MBDS that looks a bit foolish in retrospect, but is somewhat propagated by a lack of utility and firepower. You feel like someone has to try and make a play. Allowing Gambit free reign, unlikely to end well. So you can understand the positioning, doesn't work out for them. Hobbit is making sure that he's dotting the I's and crossing the T's just by watching into B. That's the right idea, but the wrong positioning. As Forrest is on the other side, using the archway to hide in and wait. 4 players will be up against him. The timing on point. Nafani, though, holding on for another one. Forrester tries to spray them down as they push on to B, but he's only good for 2. Under normal circumstances, that would be a job well done, but unfortunately, Nemiga find themselves in a 2v3, and on the post-plant box on a low HP with a scout, and Speedak with no grenades and no kit between the two of them. I'm not saying it's impossible, Tom, but man, is it highly unlikely they get this to work out.
Well, the only part of that sentence I'm not going to repeat is Tom, because I do think it's impossible. Like, I don't know how they're going to get back into this situation. They need Speedak to go absolutely ham, and it's just not going to be happening. 9-6, a decent resurgence for Nemiga. They have got a long way to go.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up. Failure happens to us all, but this is how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is when you get back up when you fall. You better get up. You gotta get up. You gotta get up. I need you to get up. Up. You witnessing a champ in the making, fueled by your passion for greatness. Yeah, but adversity and bad situations meet us in the middle of the paths that we taking. But it's what you do after that makes men. Will you quit or will you stand up and face it? Tell me, do you have what it takes to swing back when this life asks for the fade? Can you tell me you'll adapt to the change when a punch lands and it puts you flat on your face? After you wake, will you stand up and say, get mad, hit back, lit match to the flames? Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up. Failure happens to us all, but this is how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is when you get back up when you fall. You better get up. You gotta get up. You gotta get up. I need you to get up. Get up.
Gambit will be wondering what could have been after leading at 1.6-1, but the charge was led by Geo on 14 and 8 to bring them back relatively close. This second pistol, a lot of importance on it, and already Box has taken significant damage, dropped to 82. Nemiga, though, not really fully committing or investing on either side of the map, actually sitting back and waiting for Gambit to make a move. but they haven't budged an inch.
Wow. They haven't budged an inch on positions that have been spotted, which is unfortunate. They know how to default it everywhere except tunnels. And Hobbit's just gone on a wander. He had a teammate and Inters with him. They now know that this is going to be going in the direction of A, at least for now. It's just the timing. Like, they might be able to thread the window to almost beat Hobbit on the flank and just kill everybody off beforehand. The problem is they're checking their flanks, but they haven't caught anything. And Hobbit is now right behind them, pincering them in. The remaining 4 players are able to just hold up on this site. And Axile, he's in a good position here. Nafani already drops one. They're slowly going to realize, oh dear God, everybody's here. And this is before Hobbit runs back round behind them. They spot him though and manage to take him down. Somehow, with all the pieces in play for the side of Gambit, they're at a man disadvantage.
Unbelievable change of events, but now Gambit had another couple chances. Spotting a few pixels darting back and forth on the site. Nafani positioning, waiting for one of these players to bob and weave and show their head. And if he can take it off, it gives them an avenue back into this round, but instead it's MDS that holds his position. Nafani gets splattered, and Inter's going for the peak. May even think about saving this, and indeed he shall. He has a kit. Well, pardon me, not a kit, Kevlar to play behind, so it will bolster up his next round by if they decide to go for it. That does mean, though, that Nemiga will pick up a 7th and put themselves into great stead to come straight back into this map and make it close once more.
Yeah, I think Gambit are going to be quite disappointed with themselves there. To have a 4-man stack with a flank in the pistol round is not something you're ever going to be gifted, very often at least. They had all the information, they had everybody in position, and they still lost the majority of the duels with MDS getting a triple kill there. So, yeah, a bit of a disappointment, it has to be said, for them in the pistol round. And now Nemiga, they're right back into this one. As they're going into the T side, like, sure, there's more opportunities, I would say, for Shiro to be a beast on that defensive side. But this is where the problem of a stand-in, it diminishes a little bit. Because I will say that Lollipop was an absolute monster on the T side, so it's not like they're not going to be missing him here, but I do think Forrest is actually capable of filling that void.
That's certainly capable so far, and I feel like maps such as Dust 2, it's not as if there's no technical or strategic capabilities required. I think it is an easier map to fill in. It's not one of the more technically advanced sort of maps. You're not looking at a map like Nuke, for example. So far, he's done a really good job. Exile, though, who's been on point with most of his aim, picking up the slack of his teammates, has spotted multiple players around middle. Nafani now trying to capitalize. The timing was on his side, but his aim doesn't let him stay alive for much longer. Unless he survives on 1 HP, he's somehow still up there. And that presence will be felt from Nemiga. Nafani continues to be a pain in the backside, a real nuisance. And they're whittling away the time from Nemiga. And to add to the woes, Nafani not only survives, but he takes down Box with him. 30 seconds, Nemiga still need to make moves, still need to try and pressure in. Nafani may go unchecked for a few more seconds, but Speedax finally takes him down. Scout on the site, doing a lot of damage. Speedax been tagged and fragged down by Shiro, who's finally starting to show us just what he's capable of delivering on. And it seems like Gambit will hit 10 first. And Gio, 8 seconds to spare, will not be winning the round, but maybe can keep that AK-47 alive.
Counter-terrorists win. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. They had themselves that lifeline, and, well, Gambit come breaking straight back, showing again the individual prowess of this side. And, well, now look to see what the T's are going to do here. They will force. No real surprises there. Speedax saves some extra money ready to get the AWP when they can. And Jo, he has been very good so far. So maybe this AK, this hero rifle, can actually bring something home. Oh, in the early stages, Gambit have taken themselves long control and will set Axile up nice and close. He's been another star performer, showing once again while he is sort of one of the players to watch coming into the future still. Again, I'm going to mention it. I know Vu probably doesn't like age being mentioned. It seems to be one of the things that triggers him, but he is only 18 years of age. Has become an absolute beast, a joy to watch, and someone that's not going to be easy to break down. Now, the A short push, Vince, normally allows a bomb plant. The question we normally ask is, do they get anything more?
With Shiro's timing on that incendiary, to be fair, bomb plant may even be asking too much, because it's allowed both him and Hobbit to get into solid positions to actually fend off this push. They seem to have a really good read of the situation. And when you consider there's no mollies, Goose and Backer's side are going to be that much more difficult to contend with. Axar with the MP9 should be finishing off the weakened MDS after the scout shot does connect. Man, there will be no plant. There will be no bloodshed on Gambit. A clean sweep round. And that was a round when Nemiga did force up a ton of cash. So it's not as if they can bounce back in with AKs. They actually have to tap out once more.
Yeah, unfortunate case. Because they made a good fight back, at least in the first half. What is this strat? The delayed suicide rush. I guess you've got nothing to lose in this situation. Hobbit has just come in for some eco frags, and wow, easy peasy. 12-7. Now we get to finally see the buy. Speedak has said he's got enough cash to bring in the AWP. Utility's still not going to be perfect, that's for sure, but at least they'll have the rifles, and a lot of the time for a team like Nemiga, that will be enough.
Switching up the pace, it's aggression, but there's 4 CTs here to deal with them. Inters, though, separated from the rest of the pack, gets herded into an early grave. Forrester goes in for more, connects on more. 3 kills go his way, finally should be shut down. Somehow survives the P250 from Shiro, firing blanks. But Nemiga, their aggression, yielding an 8th round, mixing up the pace, and they will reap the rewards.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Forrester have a step-up round. Of course, in the previous half, he was playing the B site, which, let's be real, it wasn't the main pressure point of this Gambit roster. So realistically, I don't think he came into contention too much, a lot of the time having to go for retakes. I do think he's a diamond in the rough, so if he can get going, we could see some signs from Nemiga. MDS, he's gone aggressive. Hobbit's actually, I think, taking control right near the top of the board now. MDS is left in no man's land, and, well, a fight that he was never, ever going to win. The battle for long has been taken, and now they have to retreat and try and find a new avenue for attack. Shiro might actually be the player to pressure here. He's been having a bit of a rough one still, though. His shot may not land a killing blow, but it has done an extensive amount of damage.
Yeah, and already weakened Nemiga are being pushed and probed time and time again. Can't quite seem to get settled. Have at least got 1 kill for their trouble, so Inters has been dealt with. 55 seconds, smoke has been deployed, but will be dwindling away, and just in time for Axile to show up with the M4. Nemiga in trouble. Grenade not quite going deep enough to bother Geo, who is the low weakened player. Could have got picked off from that nade had it been a little bit further in. But they're not even sure as to where the CTs are now, Tom. So they'll be feeling compelled and somewhat pressured to go straight in. And if they slow peek this, it's right into Shiro. He will not be missing that opportunity. Gio already thinking about saving. But look at all the CT's positions. He never stood a chance. Gambit makes sure that quick rounds, the lightning speed, has been insulated. And they get back into winning ways again.
Yeah, it's almost like it was just an almost blip on the radar for Gambit. I think that's going to be a case in this game, though, where like the rounds are almost going to feel like they're completely isolated because of how almost just dry Nemiga take these rounds. It is just a battle for long. They're taking those fights regularly. This time, well, I think Gambit with their setup almost went, well, there's no way they try that again. Like, we just demolished them by fighting long once. Surely the plan won't be to go back in that direction. It is. MDS, Tech 9, it really has come back into fashion. We're seeing a lot of close range duels, especially won by this gun. And MDS is going to up the amount of rifles they have to match that of their opponents.
What we have seen, though, from Gambit is when they go a player behind, they don't panic, hold into their positions, have full confidence in their ability to bypass these potential hurdles. With a minute left, though, Nemiga can try and split and conquer onto Gambit. Catwalk has been a consistent theme, as it normally is on Dust 2, to be fair. Nothing out of the ordinary on that. And Hobbit realizing it. That's the second smoke put in the same position on doorway. Hobbit will have a good idea what's coming up. Good spray comes in. MDS has been suppressed, and in doing so, Hobbit can now turn back towards A and bolster up the defense alongside Axel. Good counter utility also tossed into place, and you can see the effects this is having. Only 30 seconds left, and they have to push through a smoke.
Not looking good, is it? A player in Goose as well is always tough to clear, and that player being Axel is not going to make anything easier. It's almost like they've got the bait and switch. 14 seconds. Are they going to expect him to be here? I'm going to be honest, without knowing, I probably wouldn't check. Jo still takes a look. They need to kill him now, and they can't get past Axel. A triple spray down to close the round. Even a cheeky smirk coming out from him, and well, 14 now on the board for Gambit. It looked like it was slipping away from them a little bit with a couple of rounds going the way of Nemiga, but it seems every time there's like a swing round, a break round for their opposing side, they instantly slam them into the ground.
And with that round, it was just all about utility, the perfect timing. Take nothing away from Axel. That's a beautiful triple spray to close it out. But you could see how desperate Nemiga were because time was just so scarce. Effectively became a sixth member for Gambit. And now Deagle's in play. No utility. Not much hope. And if they concede this, it will be 7 map points to Gambit. And it's looking more and more likely with every passing second and every passing bullet between the eyes of Nemiga that will take shape. Hobbit, 24 kills, 100 ADR, drops the bomb down. And likely this will be tied up sooner rather than later. Nemiga will have to fight back. They'll have a full purchase in the final round, potentially, of this map. So it won't be falling into any kind of rough half buys. They'll be going all in out on their shield. Geo is waiting and anticipating a push. Understandably, because Gambit have been pretty aggressive. Remember, he had the AWP in a 1v4, walked out into middle and got shot from 3 separate angles. So that'll still be fresh in the back of his mind. And speaking from the back, Afani struck from that very position. 7 map points.
Oh, it's do or die now. They will at least get a full buy-in if they want to get the AWP. Sure, it might not have some head armor, but that's not really going to be one of the major issues here for Nemiga. In fact, it's going to be Glass Cannon, needing that extra utility, it seems. Speedak not spotting anything, and he hasn't had his best of games. I'm surprised not, like, Jo taking the top of the board is not the almost normal case, I guess you could say. Filling the void, perhaps, but fortunately it hasn't been enough, at least on this map. Bear in mind, this is still the choice of Gambit, so we do have Inferno coming up, a map that statistically is much better for them, and Inferno has been one that I think Nemiga have actually built a bit of a name on. It's just not getting better though. Axel, instead, he slowed down a little bit, but seems to have come back in form, but he gives it up. Doesn't expect anybody to peek back in, turns his back to his opponents and fades away. Sneaky push also coming in from Jo. This is so risky. Inters hasn't been having a fantastic day, and it's a really awkward fight. I'm not enjoying this at all. It will just be Jo eventually fading into the background, but if anything, somehow he came out favorable in that fight.
Yeah, that's definitely one I think everyone's going to want to forget pretty soon, to be honest. Neither player will want to go back and watch that fight anytime in the next year. 40 seconds left, though. Forrester, good Molotov onto the right-hand side, allows him to pass through without making any sound cues. Hobbit, though, is playing very passively, patiently up on the boxes. Not for the first time. Nemiga taking their sweet time to get in amongst the frags, and they've come out second best in Forrester. Hobbit takes him, enters, different angle. Remember, he's very low from that earlier fight, but Geo on his low HP goes in first. More damage inflicted. Still alive, though. Still keeping away from the grave, but only for a few more moments, and it feels like this round is now falling into place alongside the map. 5 seconds, it's over. Gambit take it 16-8. Doesn't matter if MGS gets kills, because it's done.
Yeah, a strong performance from them in the end. It seemed like there was a moment or two where we could see this one come back a little bit into their favor, but it didn't really look like Gambit broke too much of a sweat, and I think that's how we kind of expected this one to go. Dust 2, it's been a very strong map for them, at least recently, and one that for Nemiga, especially without Lollipop in the mix, it just was never going to go their way.
No, I think that's kind of what we expected to see. But as you also touched on, Inferno's up next. We feel like this is their best chance to pull off anything. And if they want to go the distance, they're going to have to take Inferno. We'll find out if they do. You'll be coming straight back to us, so straight back into the action after this break, guys. Stick around, stay tuned.